Hi, I'm Randy, that Geeky Maker, and today I'm going to show you how to make a birdhouse themed dice tower for this board game. Okay, so this is the dice tower that comes with the game. It's pretty nice, but I think I can make something that's a bit more durable and looks more realistic. You put the dice in the back of the birdhouse, and they come rolling out of the front. Alright, so I'm going to take this birdhouse apart, and I'm going to use it as a pattern for the one that I'm going to make. The material that I'm going to use for this is 1/8 inch hardboard or masonite, which should make it really durable. Okay, so now that all the pieces are cut, I need to glue them together. The super glue here is not for strength. That's what the wood glue is for. The super glue is there just to hold the pieces in place better while the wood glue dries. And the stuff that I'm spraying there is a super glue accelerator, which will instantly bond the super glue as soon as the two touch. By using this method, I could just keep right on working without having to wait for the wood glue to dry. I'm using a 1-2-3 block here to make sure that everything stays square. Alright, it's time for a test. I tested this a couple of times and the dice did get stuck once in a while coming out of my version, so I'm going to go ahead and widen this part. Around the back I'm going to add this extra piece that the Stonemaier Games version doesn't have, just to better support the roof when I add it later. Now I'm adding the roof support pieces. These are going to be covered with shingles later. Because of the thickness here, I need to add some extra pieces to make it all even for when I cover it later. And I'll be doing the same thing back here. Now I'm using my bandsaw to cut out a bunch of 1/8 inch strips of XPS foam. I used this in a previous project when I built a display from Big Trouble in Little China to make it look like stone. In this case, I'm going to be texturing it to make it look like wood. I'm adding the wood grain texture with a wire brush. I tested several different types of glue, including PVA glue, tacky glue, hot glue, and this glue, which is Weld Bond, to see which one would hold the foam to the hardboard the best. This Weld Bond seemed to work the best, but if you don't want to wait for the glue to dry, you could also use hot glue. I'm just going to cover the entire thing and then cut away the excess later. I'm going to seal the whole thing with Mod Podge, but before I do that, I want to create some more definition in between what are supposed to be planks here. So I'm taking an owl and deepening the gaps in between them. Alright, that looks much better. So now I'm going to go ahead and seal the whole thing with a coat of Mod Podge mixed in with black paint. This will accomplish sealing it and adding a base coat for the paint job at the same time. Now I need to make some shingles, and I wanted these to be thinner, so instead of XPS foam, I'm using tongue depressors. The wire brush isn't strong enough to put the grain texture onto these, so I had to use this sculpting tool instead. Now that the grain texture is added, I can go ahead and cut these down into individual shingles. Time to do a little bit of roofing. Now it's time to make the bottom, and again, due to the thickness, I'm going to be using tongue depressors rather than XPS foam for this part. I'd like to hold the top and bottom pieces together with magnets, so I need to determine the location of a hole on the bottom piece that's going to hold the magnet. This piece here goes on the top of the birdhouse with one magnet inside. And then I'll use the other magnet to determine the hole to drill in the other side. By doing it this way, I can determine the perfect location for the magnet to go. And then all I have to do is trace around it and drill the hole. After drilling the hole, I can go ahead and finish covering this up. You got to be really careful to put the magnet in the right direction. Otherwise, instead of holding these things together, it's going to push them apart as I'm demonstrating here. With the magnet in place correctly, it holds them together really well. After that, I went ahead and went around the bottom of it and added a bunch of extra little pieces for reinforcement. And now I can go ahead and add Mod Podge to this. I'm trying not to lay it on too thick so I don't cover up the wood grain texture that I made earlier. And now that that's done, I can start painting the whole thing. I'm starting with a coat of thin brown paint that will allow some of the dark paint from the recesses to continue to show through. Once that's dry, I'm going to give it an overbrush with some tan paint. And then when that's dry, I'm going to give it a light overbrush with some parchment colored paint. Now I'm adding a black wash over the whole thing to tone down the brightest highlights. This black wash is Jeremy's recipe from the YouTube channel Black Magic Craft. Pretty much everything that I know about working with XPS foam, I learned from Jeremy. Now I need to make a cap for the birdhouse roof, so I'm using a piece of leftover aluminum from R2-D2's skins. Here I'm making some indentations with a center punch to simulate nails or rivets. A brand new shiny piece of metal would look pretty out of place on an old birdhouse, so I'm going to make it look weathered and old with some washes and specialty paints. There, that looks pretty good, but it's time for one last finishing touch. An old birdhouse like this would probably be covered in moss, especially on the roof. So here I'm mixing up some Woodland Scenics fine turf with some PVA glue and a little bit of water. You want to mix this until it looks like the consistency of like artichoke dip. Once the glue dries, it'll leave behind the turf and it'll look like moss. I'm going to clump a bunch of this on the roof, and then I want to add it to another few select places, especially working it into some of the cracks and crevices. I really like the way this moss effect turned out. It adds a nice layer of realism to it. Let's go feed the birds. And here's the completed dice tower. I can't wait to play Wingspan again and give it a try. I know this seems like an oddly specific project, but you can make a dice tower that matches the theme of pretty much any board game that has dice, like a castle, a gun tower, or even a spaceship. If you have any ideas for dice towers like that, put them down in the comments. If you like this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel. See you next time.